We have a very special guest this week. We're going to have a lot of fun on today's High Speed Healing Wednesdays. If you're new to this channel here today, I'm Debora Wayne. I'm the founder of the International Chronic Pain Institute. And today we are talking all things food. And I have my very friend, Cynthia Thurlow, with me. She is a nutrition expert. She is known worldwide for food, nutrition, intermittent fasting. Her TED Talk, you ready for this? Almost 6 million, you heard that right, million views. It's remarkable. Oops, sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off. And somebody's calling me, not now. So we're going to have an incredible conversation today. And we're going to talk about, is food really medicine like we keep hearing about? What's the big deal here? Can it really affect things like pain and inflammation? Can it affect our sleep, our mood? What about just every day? You know, what's causing all this bloating and the problem that I keep hearing people talk about, and what can we do about it? What practical tips can we do, especially with what's happening in the world? How do we keep our immune system strong? Is food really the key? I'm going to pick Cynthia's brain here and ask her some tough questions. And I'm going to share with you a little bit today about the consciousness of food. I bet you haven't heard about this before. I'm going to shake you up a little bit. And then we'll end the call tonight with a guided meditation that's designed to boost your immune system and calm down your nervous system so that you leave feeling very blissed out. So let's dive in here. Can everybody hear me? Are we good? So Cynthia, I got a lot of people sent in questions. Hey, Robert Watley, great to have you. And Jennifer, I've got a lot of people here today on Facebook. This is so exciting. I know food's a big topic for everybody. Most people eat, right? And they eat multiple times a day. Mm-hmm. And Cynthia, I had food issues my whole life. Since as far back as I can remember. I was 15 when I decided to become a vegetarian. And from that moment on, I had stomach aches. Mm-hmm. And now I've learned a thing or two since then, but, I was eating healthy food by anybody's standards, pure, and to this day, pure, organic, leafy greens, fresh foods, natural foods. I did not eat junk food. I did not, every now and then, maybe, but it was not my thing. But stomach aches galore. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of people in my community, as you know. I specialize in helping people with pain and these mystery illnesses and symptoms that won't go away. I want to just dive right in and ask you, first of all, how did you get to be an expert about food? And then can you tell us what's really going on here that maybe isn't considered everyday information?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm so excited to be speaking to your group and your tribe this evening. I say evening because in Washington, D.C., that's why I have these glasses on. It's 8 o'clock, so definitely my evening. So I'm trained as a Western medicine nurse practitioner. I worked for over 20 years in ER medicine and cardiology. And probably when I became a parent and my now oldest son developed terrible eczema, and then later he was diagnosed with life-threatening food allergies, I started to look a little bit more closely at food as medicine. Yeah. And so I did a deep dive. I read a book called The Unhealthy Truth by Robin O'Brien, which I highly recommend. And that book really opened me up to the concept of the way our food is produced and the influence of lobbying organizations. Right. And so I started to look very differently at nutrition and tried to pivot quite a bit. Obviously in cardiology, by the time people are coming to us, they already have disease in most instances, or they have significant risk factors for disease. And I started saying, can't we do more? I mean, it can't be this, the Western medicine mindset at the time that I trained in the 1990s was focused on low fat, largely, low fat, low cholesterol, very low animal protein, pushed a lot of grains, pushed a lot of gluten. And so what we've come to find out, over these years was that's not working. We have escalating rates of obesity in this country. And so from my perspective, my shift came, with the birth of my first child, continued over 10 years until I took a leap of faith, left Western medicine and started my own company, really focusing on food. So I believe inherently that it all starts with food. Every single illness that we are dealing with, whether it's, something that's an impact of some other life event, it all starts with food. And so I always say that, food is medicine, and I mean that sincerely. I by no means am saying that there's not a role for Western medicine. I just think we do a really kind of crummy job managing prevention as well as chronic disease management. And so now I work with clients, all over the world, really helping them hone in on root cause management. Why are they having these symptoms? Why is their gut health implicated? And to answer your other question, I just find that there are a lot of foods that are considered to be very benign, but it's all about bioindividuality. So for all 46 of us, our diets may look a little different for each one of us, but the main tenets that I like to really convey is that the most inflammatory foods are generally the ones that I suggest people, take a closer look at, even if it's just a short-term elimination diet to see how their body responds. And it's interesting. I just interviewed a physician who wrote a book called The Carnivore Code and talks a lot about plant defenses. And so when you mentioned that you were having abdominal pain, it's a lot of these plant defenses that, we're taught, for example, that spinach is a really healthy food, but for someone who's sensitive to oxalates, which is a plant-based defense, it could be problematic. And that's probably why it might have been the combination of vegetables that you were consuming in this, plant-based focused diet. So that's in a nutshell, kind of basically what I fall into, many buckets. And then the intermittent fasting came out of really looking for strategies that people could use lifelong that didn't involve what I refer to as potions, powders, and pills, because, I get to a point where we've conditioned people for such a long period of time that a pill or a potion or a powder is going to fix the issue. And that really shouldn't be the way that we look at it. I think we've given our power over to the processed food industry, to a lot of gimmicks. And so I like to empower people to be able to find strategies and solutions that they can do. And I always say an N of one. So one person, so there's, 48 of us here. That solution may be very different for each one of us, but definitely providing people with tools that they can use to take back and be able to use lifelong, not just short term.
I love that, because the people in my community know that I say the same thing. There isn't one right way or one right diet or one right way to think or feel. How can we possibly think that everyone is going to need exactly the same and get the same result? It just doesn't work that way. We all have a thumbprint that's completely unique. So I love that you're on board with that. There are a lot of diets and food plans and types of food fads out there, and this is nothing new. But what the heck? The information is so confusing that what I find is that people go into overwhelm, overload, and they do nothing, because you read one study, you read one person's opinion, even scientific evidence, and then you read the exact opposite on the same day. So how do people sort this issue out to know what's right for them, other than just the reaction in their body?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. There's a lot of disparity. I'll use the example, American Heart Association, which I used to quote stuff all the time from the AHA, and another fellow disruptor who's a physician on social media today said, I think we need to abolish the AHA, because most of what they are postulating as evidence-based recommendations are so skewed, and it's very heavy placed on seed oils and inflammatory grains and things like that. So I think there are a couple issues. I think that a lot of the nutrition research that's being done is funded by big ag. And, that's one issue. There's a really great book, and it's called Nutrition in Crisis. So I'm always all about the books. That's a great book that really talks about a lot of the flawed data that you see. So when someone comes to me and says, I don't know, am I supposed to be carnivore, keto, low carb,
Yep.
paleo, plant-based, vegan, what should I do? And so I think intrinsically we are drawn to uh, the foods that really resonate for our bodies. I'll give you an example. So I was in the hospital last year for 13 days and almost died, which I promise this is a happy story. And prior to that, I was paleo, but when I got out, I couldn't tolerate vegetables or
Yes.
fruit at all.
Yes.
I
Yes.
craved meat. And so I did carnivore for the bulk of last year and can only tolerate a couple vegetables. My gut is still healing even at this point. But the point being that, we are not meant to be static individuals. We are meant to evolve, shift, and change throughout our lifetime.
Yeah.
So I encourage anyone that's listening to this that has confusion, and I understand that most people do, to try something. And I think for a lot of people that want to lose weight, they want to do keto thinking that's a panacea. And I just remind them, keto can be good, but if you don't tolerate and digest fats very well, that's not a great choice. Sometimes women don't tolerate sustained low carbohydrate diets. I find sometimes men do well with that philosophy. Some people do well with more plants and less animal protein. Some people tolerate grains, others do not. So you have to be open-minded to some degree of experimentation. And as long as you're eating a nutrient-dense whole foods diet, which could include animal-based protein, plants, low glycemic fruits, grains if you tolerate them, and preferably not huge quantities. There is room for a lot of interpretation, eating a less processed diet and seeing how that works for you. I really like the Whole30, if anyone's familiar with that, which takes out the major inflammatory foods. So it takes out gluten, grain, sugar, processed sugars, soy, and alcohol for a month. And it's not necessarily something people can sustain forever, but it's a good way to determine, is gluten a problem? And for a lot of people, it isn't necessarily the gluten, it's what is done to the crops, the glyphosate, the chemicals that are sprayed on the wheat and the gluten products that can be hugely problematic. And so you really have to do a bit of experimentation. Some people love that idea. Some people, they want more stringent requirements. They want to be told, eat this, not that.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of it comes down to, what are your internal philosophies? I'm much more of a nebulous, I like people to really experiment, to be a little bit more creative. Sometimes occasionally I'll get more left brain people and they're like, no, I need you to actually give me a list so that I know. And I'm like, okay, we can work with that. But I would just encourage anyone that's listening to do a bit of experimentation. Give yourself 6 to 8 weeks trying something new. See how you feel. How do you sleep? What's your energy levels like? What are your cravings like? Do you feel like your blood sugar is balanced, meaning you eat a meal and then you don't want to go take a nap, or you're not, hangry, where you're hungry and grumpy? Those are kind of the barometers of which I use to say, check in with yourself, keep a food diary. I call it food and mood. A lot of the foods that we eat influence the neurotransmitters, those chemical messengers in our gut. So I always encourage people to really be attuned to how they feel, because that is equally important, feel mentally as well as physically.
Right.
That's equally important to see what is or is not working for you.
God, you've said so many things I want to comment and ask more questions on. So first of all, I just love that, you really are encouraging people to experiment, because what happens, I find, is people get all rigid and terrified to try anything, because is it good? Is it bad? Is it,
Right.
and I have found in my own personal journey that, just as you shared, at different times in my life, I needed completely different dietary way of living. I was a vegetarian for 15 years. By the end of that, it almost killed me. I could barely stand up in the shower without holding on because I was so weak. Okay. Then I found times in my life where I would go long periods of time with no red meat and even very little chicken. And then about 2 years ago, holy moly, I discovered grass-fed beef and my body went, yes, with a capital Y. And I've been eating beef ever since. And man, did I need it. And my energy changed overnight. And, I could go on and on with the stories, but it's exactly what you're saying, is that in people that know me, I teach you this, your answers are within you. Your body is constantly giving you feedback. You doubt yourself because nobody showed you how to trust your gut, literally. And yet you have that GPS built into your DNA. And so, for example, I know within usually minutes after I eat something, certainly within an hour, I can tell sometimes I have such a strong reaction, like I felt great, and then all of a sudden I feel completely drained, or I feel nervous, or I can't focus, or I have a
Mhm.
headache. These are indicators, right, Cynthia? These
Yep.
are not just, oh, something's wrong, there's a toxic air. No, this is the reaction that the body's giving us, the feedback
Mhm.
from what we just ate.
Correct. And I think it's really important. We live in a very overstimulated, harried existence.
Yes.
And I was having a conversation earlier this afternoon, and I said, people forget, where's the first organ of digestion? And almost everyone, doesn't matter if it could be children I'm giving a talk to or adults, they always say, oh, my stomach or my mouth, or no, it's our brain. So we literally have to be in the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and repose side of our brains, to be able to accept and digest food. But what most people do, they stand up and eat.
Yeah,
They
they eat,
are in
right?
their
They
cars,
rush through their meals,
right?
right?
They're
And none
rushing
of them
through their
really.
meals.
Yes.
And you can't think of a worse way to, it should be honoring our bodies. It should be, we should be nourishing our bodies. I feel like I've gotten very woo woo about this, but it really isn't. It's just, it's the scientific basis for saying, your body is not primed to accept protein. You have hydrochloric acid in the gut.
Yeah.
You have pancreatic enzymes, you've got bile to emulsify fats. And those things are not optimized if we are not in the right frame of mind. So I
Yes.
encourage people, one meal a day. I mean, I understand since people are running out of the house, they're, maybe lunch is the one meal out of the day, or maybe dinner where they can, slow down a little bit and really just savor. You shouldn't be rushing through your meals.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us feel good when we are. So those cues that you mentioned, sometimes you eat and you have energy, and sometimes you eat and you don't. And I
Mhm.
know for myself personally, and I think for women that are in perimenopause, the 5 to 7 years preceding menopause and menopausal years, we are much more carbohydrate sensitive. That doesn't mean carbohydrates are bad. It
Yeah.
means that what we may be able to eat at this stage in our lives may be quantity wise much smaller than I was able to tolerate in my 20s and
Yes.
30s. And
Right.
that's okay. But it's important because sometimes I get sleepy if I have too much squash or too much sweet potato. And so it's really, paying attention to what your body is telling you.
Yeah, talk about this for a minute, please, because portion size.
Mhm.
You go to a restaurant, for example, and they bring enough food for 10 people. And it's different in different countries. When I've
Mhm.
been to Europe many times, they eat very differently. And
Yes.
in France, for example, you could have 6 courses, but they're not
They're
huge
very small.
gargantuan
Mhm.
portions. You linger, you take 2 hours for a meal. Everyone's like in a loving, no one's on their
Mhm.
phone. It's a very different experience. And I know for a fact for myself, I'm super sensitive emotionally. So if I'm
Mhm.
upset and eating at the same time, you might as well just put poison down my tank
Mhm.
because it is an instant reaction.
Right.
Um, but talk about portions. And is
Mhm.
there really a way to think about this that's healthy? That, because I feel like sometimes, especially if it tastes good, I don't
Mhm.
stop when I get that feeling that
Mhm.
I am really done. I just
Yeah.
one more bite and one more bite. And before you know it, it's uncomfortable.
Well, I think that's a great question, and I'm not normally a fan of saying to people you need to measure this or measure that, but I always say focus on the protein first because we know protein is super satiating. It's
Yeah.
very hard to overeat a piece of steak. It
Yeah.
is really hard to overeat a piece of salmon. I mean, you're not going to go back and have seconds and thirds of salmon. And then, when you're thinking about putting meals together, so protein, some portion of healthy fat, and it could have been you cooked, that salmon. Maybe it was cooked with grass-fed butter. Maybe
Yeah.
you have a little bit of avocado on the side. And then, determining the carbohydrates. Now, I think fats people can go overboard with and carbohydrates people can go overboard with. So it's
Yeah.
more about being cognizant of, what is your body telling you. I always say, first focus on the protein, add in the healthy fats, and then the carbohydrate piece can be beneficial. And I'm a fan of, I kind of cycle my carbohydrates, which means depending on my physical activity, although, I've been socially distancing, for 13 weeks. So I haven't been in the gym lifting heavy weights, but on days I lift heavy, I do higher carbs, and days when I'm doing
Yes.
HIIT or Tabata or am less physically active, I'm doing lower carb. That works for me. Again, it's an N of one, but I would encourage anyone, if you're trying to lose weight, then portion sizes can be an issue. If you're stable where you are, then I think you just gauge it based on, how hungry am I?
Yeah.
Some days I'm more hungry than others. And it's that intuitive listening. We have forgotten what it is like to connect with our true intrinsic hunger. And we've forgotten because we've been so conditioned that we get up in the morning, we take a shower, we eat breakfast, even if we're not hungry. And then 4 hours later, we eat lunch. And then maybe we have a coffee drink in the afternoon, and then we eat dinner, but we may not even actually be hungry at any of those times. So I find that connecting to true intrinsic hunger, like how does my body feel when it really is hungry versus I'm bored, or, connecting to the emotional piece. And I get it. We've all been, for many of us, we've all been housebound more than probably we ever have been in the last 10 years. And so that's been an adjustment, but I would say generally not a fan of measuring food unless you're trying to lose weight. And then I think it can be beneficial, at least on the short term, to get a sense of what is a proper size of avocado or butter or nuts. I mean, here's the big thing. The two biggest mistakes I see men and women make is with nuts and cheese. They're both delicious. They are, but people have portion distortion. And so, that quarter cup of cashews becomes half a jar of cashews, and a thumbnail of cheese is ridiculous. I mean, how many people eat just a thumbnail of cheese? And next thing you know, I've eaten half a block. I have teen boys in my house, so I can tell you this happens with them. Their metabolisms are crazy.
Problem, right? Half a block or more could be gone like that.
Super easy.
Oh my God, again, so many things. So in a moment, I want to talk about healthy snacking and is there such a thing? But, I'm remembering that for years, because I was trying to be thin and I tried to control what I ate, I turned off the ability to listen to my body's natural sense of hunger. I literally turned it off and I would starve myself. And then when I started to go into my healing journey and recover from all that, for a while, it wasn't working properly. Like I couldn't even really tell when I was hungry or when I wasn't. And I have some training in Ayurveda, and for years, Ayurveda teaches us you eat when you're hungry. You don't eat because they tell you it's time for breakfast. And so as my system started to heal, I discovered I'm never hungry first thing in the morning. Never. I drink hot water with lemon. I am not hungry for usually 3 and sometimes 4 hours. This was before intermittent fasting even became a fad. I was doing it and didn't know I was doing it. And my weight stabilized. I went to my ideal body weight and I've never looked back. And people would say, oh, you don't eat, you eat like a bird. You don't eat enough. You should be, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And you don't understand. I am not hungry till I'm hungry.
Right.
And this has been one of the biggest factors of my own personal healing. I can't stress it enough. So would you comment on that? And this, am I on track here?
Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting because, breakfast is the most important meal of the day was kind of created by the cereal industry and General Mills.
Bread companies, right?
Yeah. And I don't even,
people.
Is it appropriate for me to say why they wanted people eating a lot of grains in the morning? Can I share the story? So there was this is kind of an interesting story. There was some concern that, they wanted people not to be pleasuring themselves. And so they recognized that if people were eating a higher grain diet, that might discourage it. And so that's kind of where that originated from, back at the turn of the century. And so when you look at what is pushed on most Americans in the morning, it is not protein, it is not healthy fats, it is sugary carbohydrates, which all they do for the most part is spike our blood sugar, secrete insulin, and then we're hungry an hour or two later. And what I remind people of is our bodies are intrinsically not designed to get up and eat automatically. I think if you ask most people, I have a 12-year-old son, and he tells me all the time, I don't even mean to practice intermittent fasting, Mom, but I'm not hungry till 10 o'clock in the morning. And so, that's kind of fundamentally our bodies are not designed to eat immediately. We get up, we go to the bathroom, and we get dressed. But, one of the things I think is really critical is, that intrinsic connection to our bodies is number one. And then, also the fact that it's really important that we recognize that there is so much antiquated dogma that is being kind of passed around and encouraged. I always say, breakfast is the most, that's how I actually started my TED Talk, was breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and the other one was calories in, calories out, because we've been taught for many years this is the way things work. So I find that when people start connecting with what their body is trying to tell them, and they respond with, I eat when I'm hungry, which is for many people is something they haven't been attuned to. They also stop eating when they're full, and they generally have better digestion. And because they're not snacking and eating all day long, they don't feel bloated. They're sleeping better. They have more energy. And so our bodies are designed to burn fat for ketones, which is, a preferred source of energy. And if you think back to before refrigeration and when people really genuinely had to go out and hunt their food, sometimes you might have gone several days in between big meals. And so our bodies are really designed to eat less food and to fast longer than what we have been doing. I think the study that I recently read was that the average American eats 17 to 20 times a day, because that's including liquid calories as well as food we have to chew. And really that should be like you eat twice a day or 3 times a day, and then you are not drinking sugar spiking or, sugary laden drinks throughout the day. I would say I prefer getting my calories from food as opposed to, sugary Starbucks drinks. So in a nutshell, yes, you're doing exactly what I encourage, my own patients to be doing, is to really get connected again with intrinsically how their bodies should be working.
It really is amazing how our own inner nature will guide us to, even certain foods that normally I would love. There are days where I will get up and it's like, no, that is just not for me today. And it might go on for a week or whatever. The body's just such an incredible, wise being.
It really is.
Now you've mentioned the word snacking a few times, and here we are. We've been quarantined forever, and people get bored, people get lonely, people get antsy, people get worried. The first thing, I mean, since little children, so many people have been taught, just be good and you can have a snack. They're rewarded with food. So how do you feel about snacking? Is it good? Is it bad? What can people eat? Can you give some practical tips on what do you consider to be healthy snacking besides that entire brick of cheese?
Right. As a rule, I don't think I always say it's a good, better, best philosophy. So best is we shouldn't need to snack because we eat proper protein and healthy fats with our meals, so we aren't hungry in between meals. Now, I recognize during special events and when we're bored, we may decide to have a snack. And so when I think about healthier options, I think of things of like nuts and seeds. I think about like jerky, beef jerky, turkey jerky, those kinds of things. I think about, I'm not a big dairy fan, but if you're going to do dairy, full fat, organic, unsweetened yogurt that you can, sweeten yourself. I think about, I think from a perspective of protein. And so things like hummus, if you're going to have hummus with some vegetables, like lately I've been on a cucumber and hummus kick as like a starter for my dinner, which my family thinks is hilarious. I could eat my weight in cucumbers, things like red pepper, a low sugar fruit. So like a clementine or, berries, we're headed into berry season, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, grapefruit or an orange are certainly good. Tropical fruits are not necessarily bad. They just tend to be higher in carbs. And I find most of my tribe is trying to eat lower carbs or be cognizant. Fruit sugar is still fructose, so still fruit sugar. And if people have a blood sugar problem or pre-diabetic or diabetic, then you want to be cognizant of that. So there's definitely, there are even like gluten-free crackers and things like that. And a lot of the work that I do is meeting people where they are. So I always say that the mindset of good, better, best, like sometimes you're in situations where there isn't the best. And sometimes it might even be like good. You're in a restaurant, you're at someone's party. And I always say, focus on the protein first, find some protein, maybe it's finding a couple pieces of cheese. Maybe it's finding some meat that you can have, like a crudité platter. That's going to be, I say usually if you stick to protein and vegetables, you're generally going to do pretty well. Yeah. But, it's also acknowledging that some days you're just going to want to eat something fun, and that's okay too. Like I have a thing for plantain chips. There's a great brand called Banana, and it's literally Himalayan sea salt, plantains, and like coconut oil. And no, I don't eat the whole bag, and the bag is small, but like a serving of that, sometimes if I'm craving something salty, is completely satisfying. So, you also think about nut butters. Again, nuts can be problematic.
Yeah.
There are some clean protein bars. I'm a realist. Like when you travel,
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to
Right.
have something like healthier snacks. But I find jerky is a good option. Paleo Valley, I have no affiliation with them. Paleo Valley chomps are two like good options in terms of cleanliness. Macadamia nuts are a favorite. Cashews, things like that you can portably take with you if you need to have a snack. Those are generally where I start.
Love it, love it, love it. Now, what about prevention? Can food be used to prevent illness, anything viral related? Like, talk a little bit about food really as medicine. Like, what if you are sick? What if you feel yourself getting sick? I've heard you share before. You were on TV recently, and you had some really great, very simple things that I'm not sure everybody knows about that are like potent. So talk to us about.
Yeah. When I'm thinking of like overall health, I usually say, our immune system, we want to make sure that we're giving our bodies, healthy food that's going to contribute to good, healthy gut, the gut microbiome, which is 70 to 80% of our immunity is in our gut. I'm not sure how many people know that. So food really is mood, and food really is you are what you eat. So if you're eating McDonald's hamburgers and French fries, you're not going to have the same types of like healthy, vital bugs in your gut as someone who's eating predominantly a nutrient dense diet. So when I think about things that are going to improve our health, is let's talk about things we don't want to have. We don't want a lot of processed food, and we want to stay away from processed sugars. That doesn't mean that having a piece of fruit is going to derail your efforts. Just processed stuff, like things that come in a box, a bag, and a can for the most part. What I do like people to focus in on are things like probiotic rich foods. And so it doesn't have to be super complicated, but fermented vegetables. So I start to think about fermented cabbage. There are brands like Wild Brine that you can generally find throughout the United States. But if you have a good, good refrigerated section of your grocery store, there's always tons of options with lots of different flavors. I always think about, kombucha, low sugar kombucha, which is a fermented tea. I think about kefir if you are a dairy fan. Those are a couple good options. Certainly, I think about green tea. We know that green tea has tons of medicinal benefits. We think about omega-3s, so fatty fish. Sometimes people say, I don't like fish. And so I always say, okay, well, let's try to find something you do like, whether or not it's salmon or tuna or sardines. And I have an amazing sardine pate recipe that's like 3 ingredients. It's like sardines and butter and salt and a couple other things. That's amazing. And so I always say I can work around the sardines thing, but really focusing on a lot of the medicinal herbs like oregano. We think about turmeric. We think about curcumin, all really beneficial. Garlic. Garlic is known to have a lot of medicinal properties. And it doesn't have to be that you have it raw. It can be just cooked in a dish that you're consuming. I'm a huge fan of ginger. There are a lot of ginger teas. You can even find green tea with ginger, which is something I enjoy, or you can cut ginger up. And I have a friend who likes to brew a tea that is essentially boiled water. Like you mentioned, you like to enjoy warmed water with lemon. You can do the same thing with ginger, really hugely beneficial. And, that's kind of where we start, but it's always kind of focused on things like bone broth. I'm trying to think of things that are super accessible. Like you don't even have to make your bone broth. There are good brands that are out there like Kettle Fire, Epic.
I was going to ask you about this. So go into bone broth and collagen powders. Is there any validity to this?
So I think, let me backtrack. I think most, if not all of us, are not consuming enough protein, especially women. Based on study research, based on talking to experts like Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, most of us are deficient. So I think collagen peptides, which can be dissolved in water, they don't even have to be put in a smoothie, are a great way. It helps with skin, helps with immunity. It's a super easy thing. Vital Proteins makes a really nice product, just off the top of my head, that you can dissolve into anything. I love bone broth because it's simmering down the bones. And so you're getting the minerals from the bones that have kind of simmered down, a lot of the, cartilaginous, ligamentous aspects of the bones, and the soft tissue that are boiled down, and really nutrient dense. I always say, when my grandmother used to make, my German grandmother would make
Yes.
chicken soup when I was sick, and you really understand that there are medicinal properties in a lot of these things that we're consuming. So bone broth is easy. If you're not feeling great, you can definitely keep yourself hydrated. That's really critical. Being hydrated is really important when you're not feeling well. But I think, things like bone broth, when you're just not feeling up to maybe chewing your food, maybe you just want to have something that's warm and soothing, really easy to do. I always say stay hydrated. If but nothing else, you want to remain super well hydrated. That can be hugely helpful. And then, really getting back to basics, they always talk about, the process of not eating a lot. There is a intrinsic property to fasting called autophagy, where you're scavenging up diseased and disordered cells. And so during COVID-19, when things were really at their height, a lot
Yeah.
of people are asking, are you recommending people do longer fasts? And I said, no, I think even doing a less than 24-hour a day fast, somewhere between 16 and 24 would be great, because 16 hours is when things really start to ramp up. With regard to autophagy, that scavenging up. It's like spring cleaning, spring cleaning of our homes, spring cleaning of our cells. And so we want to get rid of the diseased and disordered cells. And so that's hugely beneficial. And then, again, falling back on things as simple as sleep. Like high quality sleep is so underappreciated, underrated. And yet it is the most important thing you can do for your body. Your brain, the first 4 hours you are asleep, is more active than it is during the day. There's this process called the lymphatic system. It's kind of like taking out the trash,
Yeah.
but it requires so much energy from your brain. The only time that your body has the ability to devote that much time and attention to that system is when we're asleep. So I remind people that think it's a joke, or maybe 4 or 5 hours they can get by, and I'm like, no way. You need 7 to 8 hours a night of sleep, and that is really, really important. In fact, when I start feeling like I'm getting sick, one of the first things I will do is I will put myself, almost like when we do with our children when they're younger, put myself to bed earlier, make sure I'm really well hydrated, maybe have some bone broth, and just leave it at that. I think, really sticking with medicinal foods, things that we know our bodies really can innately use, and use those compounds for our benefit, are really super effective.
Well, what you're so emphasizing is that the body's designed to heal itself.
Mhm.
And we forget this, don't we? We
Mhm.
forget that the body is it needs the environment that we're soaking in is
Mhm.
critical. So the hydration, the bone broth, the sleep, the calm around us, these things are affecting our health.
Mhm.
And most people in a normal setting, not, of course, we've had much more of this downtime and time to rest for a lot of people during COVID. But the problem with that was it was coupled with frantic emotions. And
Mhm.
now the events of the past week, even more so. So the
Mhm.
emotional upheaval really was counter, to
Yeah.
downtime. But let's say it was just normal times, whatever that means. I love, there's a comic that says normal is a setting on the dryer. Really where we're at. But normally if we have just a calmer environment, we're taking our time when we eat, basic things. This is not rocket science.
Mhm.
This is listening to nature. Nature is very simple. It follows a blueprint. We have that blueprint, but we've override it with the intellect, thinking we're just so bright and we're going to conquer this and we're going to do it our way. And look what it's led. It's led to massive disease.
Mhm.
You're either in ease or disease. I mean, think of it that in that simplified manner. And
Mhm.
you can always tell, you can feel it, because your mind is racing or you're worried or you can't sleep. There's reasons for this. And the pill, like you said earlier, Cynthia, I love the pill is not the answer to everything.
Mhm.
I grew up in a household. My father was an allopathic physician. There was a pill for
Mhm.
everything. I don't care what it was. You take this pill or that pill, or it was enough to, and I knew at a very young age, there's something wrong with this. Our
Mhm.
refrigerator had more pills in it than food. I mean,
Yeah.
this is, this was, I love, again, what you shared earlier. This is big business, is what this is.
Mhm.
And I'm not here to badmouth medicine. There's needs for
Correct.
medicine, for pills many times. And I love doctors. But the way we've been brainwashed to take something synthetic to solve every problem is not the solution. in my humble opinion. All right, so many things. Now, real quick before we go, and by the way, everybody, Cynthia has been gracious enough to give us a lot of special gifts, and I'm going to be sending that to all of you tomorrow with the replay. We had some techno difficulties on Facebook, so I'm going to also repost this entire video that I'm recording on my computer right now in Zoom, and I'll be reposting it on Facebook. So those of you that are just seeing me, you'll get to see Cynthia too. Thank you for hanging on. There's still a lot of people on the line, but Cynthia's gifted us with so many cool things. So let's see, you're going to get the link to her TED Talk, which you really want to watch, trust me. She's given us 7 days of anti-inflammatory recipes. And I looked at these, and they're enough to make your mouth water just from the photos. So wait till you see the pistachio crusted salmon and the chocolate stuffed raspberries and the orange immune boosting smoothie. I mean, there's some really cool things here. Like, so if you think you're going to be deprived of chocolate and some favorites, you'll be surprised. So you're going to get to the PDF of the recipes. You'll get, this is my favorite. Now I know this, it's kind of quirky, but I saw her on television talking about how to make your own natural hand sanitizer. And I'm sorry, but I don't want to put chemical hand sanitizer all in my body, in my skin all day long. I'm not going to do it. Cynthia has the solution. And I was blown away when I saw that. I went right out, got all the ingredients. So she's sharing that with us too. And I want you to, as soon as we hang up today, you want to subscribe to her podcast. It's called Everyday Wellness, and I'm going to post the link to that as well. And she's got a really powerful masterclass that is completely full, but you can get on the wait list. And if you're drawn to everything we're talking about today, I'm going to send you the link to show you how to get onto the wait list, because her TED Talk alone had 6 million views. So really, if you're drawn to really an expert's view who respects the fact that you have an individual difference, a need, a plan that's going to be different from your husband, your wife, your kids, your aunt, your whoever, even what your doctor might have told you. I like the hearts are flying with this one. People get this. I know in my community, people get this. We're each individuals and we need to be listened to. And Cynthia is the one you want to go to. So you'll want to get on the wait list for her masterclass, and I'll share with you how to do that. I'm going to post links in the Facebook page, and then you'll get the replay tomorrow with everything in there as well. So really quick before we go into the meditation, keto, paleo, there's a big fight.
Yes.
Can you synthesize this for us in just a simpler manner?
Well, so keto and paleo as two examples of lower carb or very low carb diets. If you're looking at pure keto, pure paleo, it's really telling us to eat nutrient dense foods, which I'm totally in favor of.
Yeah.
What it has devolved into is, in many ways, very polarizing opinions. It's really going back to what resonates most. When you're talking about a purely ketogenic diet, you're talking about 30 grams of carbs or less a day. Yeah. For a lot of people, that's very hard to do, but it helps clean up a lot of crap in their diet. Yes. But unfortunately, now we've got keto junk food that is proliferating because people want.
Yes.
Right. I see people, and not everyone, ketogenic diets can work for a couple specific instances. I think it's fine for people if they have a history of seizures. I think it's fine short-term for women. For men, it seems to work a little bit better for long-term. Paleo diets can work very well. Again, a pure paleo diet is really a nutrient-dense diet, tends to be lower in carbs. What I find with both diets is that if you cycle those carbohydrates, it's generally better tolerated. And by that, it means higher carbs on days that you are more active, lower carbs on days when you're doing more cardio or high-intensity interval training. The caveat is this: the average American consumes 300 plus grams of carb a day. So when we're talking about lower carb, to me, a low carb diet is 50 grams or less. Moderate could be 75 to 100.
Wow.
High to me might be 100 to 150. So we're not talking about
Yeah.
copious amounts of carbohydrates.
Mhm.
So if you think about it, like one banana could be 30 grams of carbs. So just to give you
Yeah.
some perspective. So again, it always goes back to bioindividuality, what works for your body, what allows your body to thrive. And
Mhm.
that requires experimentation. I always describe the environment I'm in now. I'm kind of carnivore-ish. I'm more protein focused,
Yes.
cycling those carbs, but I would encourage people to experiment a little bit and stay away from the junk food that's out there. Every nutritional paradigm has junk food: vegan junk food, paleo junk food, keto junk food. I don't think there's any carnivore junk food because it's just meat. But the point being, there's always going to be a variation that's going to fit within a widget. People
Yeah.
say, oh, well, this is a keto brownie. I'm like, it's still a dessert.
Yeah.
Those smoothies are still desserts. Those protein bars are still dessert. Just you need to think about it that way. Just eat the real food.
Yeah, I've yet to find a protein bar. Almost every single one of them really it's loaded with sugar in some form. It's all camouflage to make you think that it's healthy, but it's marketing, folks. It's really not that healthy. What's healthy is what grows out of the ground and the protein.
Right.
And I can tell you that when I cut out, I went gluten-free many, many moons ago, and I went grain-free as well. Now, I was the type of person that couldn't pass the muffin counter without stopping and buying at least two. I
Mhm.
couldn't do it. I could not. If I had anything bread-like in the house, it was gone. I craved it. In fact, I used to say, if you just leave me two foods, leave me the bread and the butter. And I went gluten-free, grain-free, and dairy-free for a long while. And oh my God, no cravings anymore for years. I just don't crave it. I can look at it. I don't even want it.
Mhm.
Even when I went back to try a little, sometimes it's like, wow, what was I thinking? This isn't even so good.
Right,
It
right.
really cleans up those cravings, and it's remarkable what it will do for your mood
Yeah,
and your energy level.
yeah.
So, we have a body, but again, it's back to everything you've reinforced today. Listen to your body. Your body knows what you need. And on the days when I do a power yoga class, I find I'm hungrier than other days. Go figure. I have not been as hungry during this whole quarantine. And for a while, I was noticing I would still eat the same meal that I'm used to preparing, the same portions. And all of a sudden, I started feeling sluggish,
Mhm.
tired, and full and uncomfortable. And it dawned on me, I'm really not listening that closely. I'm
Mhm.
eating what I normally eat, and it's not the right proportion.
Yeah,
So, listening is the key.
absolutely.
All right. I'll save this one last question for you after we're going to do a short guided meditation now to help you get in touch with the listening, the inner listening, bring back some calm, grounded energy, and help you boost your whole nervous system and immune system back into that rest mode. All right. So if you're driving, no driving, turn me off. And I want you to find a safe, comfortable place. You can lie down or sit down and close your eyes and take your attention to your low belly. I want you to take a breath into your low belly and notice what it feels like to breathe deep and low. And as you exhale, just let out a sigh out of your mouth and let everything we've talked about go. And again, breathe gently and slowly into your low belly and let the muscles in your low belly relax for a change. And slowly exhale. And again, as you really soften the muscles in your belly, let your low belly expand as you breathe in. And then draw the breath up into your heart area. And now open your mouth and let it all go. And as you continue to breathe, naturally, gently, just a very easy, effortless breath. Begin to notice your body slowing down, your mind slowing down, calming down, quieting down, your whole system as you focus on your breath, noticing the air as it comes in and as it goes out. Notice how quickly you start to slow down. Allow yourself to slow down now. There's no rush. You have time. Feel the weight of your body and just let it sink down into the cushions beneath you. And let the weight of the chair or the bed or the couch, wherever you're sitting or lying down, feel the support underneath you and let your body relax. There's no need to tense up or tighten. Feel your body letting go now. Silently to yourself, say the words, I am open. It's okay for me to relax. I have time. I am safe. Feel yourself letting go. As you take your awareness even deeper inside, I want you to begin to scan your body. Scan and notice any areas of your body that need your attention, that are crying out for attention. And without any judgment, I want you to go inside and take a scan of your whole body and notice any areas that are talking to you. And instead of hating this or judging this or avoiding or taking your attention off of the area, I want you to go right to the area that's giving you the most, the loudest, the clearest voice. Which area is talking to you? And I want you to feel it. I want you to notice it. I want you to pay attention without any judgment. And follow along, even if this makes no sense to your mind. I want you to say thank you to the body part or the area of your body that's talking to you. Even if you're feeling pain, I want you to say thank you. I'm listening. Thank you. I'm listening. And I want you to ask this area of your body, just as if it were a person, what is it you're trying to tell me? What is it you need from me? And take a moment now in the silence to listen and notice the first thoughts that come into your mind. What are you trying to do for me? What are you trying to tell me? What do you need from me? Listen and look. You may get an image, a memory, a thought. Honor the wisdom inside you, even if it makes no sense. Now you can come back and return to this later and have an even deeper dialogue on your own. Next, I'm going to ask you to use your imagination. And I'd like you to create a symbol in your mind's eye that you associate with feeling incredible energy, really strong and healthy, It may be an image of yourself. It may be a time in your past when you felt amazing. It could just be a symbol that represents what to you. And when you look at that symbol, you know it, you equate that with feeling super strong and healthy and full of energy and vitality. I'm going to give you a moment now to bring that up in your mind's eye. And you may actually see it. Maybe it's just a feeling. For some of you, you'll just be imagining it. I want you to imagine this symbol or something that represents your greatest strength and vitality. Imagine it in whatever way you imagine now. Take a moment and notice. And now I'd like you to continue using your imagination and just listen to the sound of my voice and follow along. You can't mess it up, so just trust the process here. You won't be doing it wrong, so don't worry. Relax your mind about all this and just follow along to the best of your ability. I'd like you to imagine, take that symbol, and imagine in your right hand you're holding a remote control. And I'd like you to, there's a plus sign on that remote control. And I'd like you to press that plus sign and start to turn up the colors in your symbol that represents your greatest strength, energy, and vitality. Turn the colors up till it's bold and bright. And even if you can't literally see it, imagine that you're turning the colors up. And they're bold and bright. And notice how you feel when you do that. Now take a moment and turn up the sound, the volume. So if you were at your greatest strength and vitality, full of energy and perfect health, what would you be saying about your health, your body? What would other people be saying about you? Listen to that and take the remote and turn the sounds up so it's very clear and easy to hear. Use your imagination here. And now, I'd like you to imagine, you can choose any button you like on that remote to represent your feelings. And I want you to turn up how it feels to be in amazing health, super strong, confident, comfortable, full of energy and vitality. And if you've never felt that way, I want you to make it up. I want you to imagine what it would feel like, even if you've never felt that way before. And amplify that, turn it up with that remote control. Notice what that does to your body, how you feel inside. Notice how you would look and stand, how you would sit, what your face would be like. And feel it right now as if it already happened. Your immune system working at 100%. Your mind knowing that you're strong and capable. Your body talking to you, giving you the clues, the signals that you're safe and sound and strong and full of energy. What would that look like, sound like, and feel like? I want you to imagine that right now as if it's already happening in your life, in your body, in your mind, in your emotions. Any stories you've told yourself from the past, imagine them just falling away now, dropping out of your body, your mind, just dropping away, and embrace this new energy of strength and vitality. Imagine the field around your body, your auric field, full of light and energy. What would that look like to you if the field around you was radiating vibrant strength and energy? Just make it up. There's no right or wrong. What would your field look like? Maybe there's a color or an image. I want you to turn that on and turn it up. And one last step here. Imagine that there is a clear, translucent bubble that surrounds you. It's about 20, 30 feet away. So you have plenty of room to move around, stretch your arms and legs. This is a huge, clear bubble that surrounds you. And nothing and no one can get into that bubble without your permission. This is a protective shield. Nothing, absolutely nothing, can enter your bubble without your permission. Picture that in your mind's eye, or imagine that in any way you imagine, and feel it right now. And you're free as a bird inside. You can see and hear. Others can see and hear you. They have no idea you have this layer completely sealing in your vitality, your energy, your strength. And from this moment on, you're going to live your life completely surrounded by an invisible field, a bubble. And the only thing that can survive inside that bubble is total health, strength, vitality, energy. See it, feel it, imagine it, and know it. Claim it for yourself right now. And either silently or out loud, say, my intention from this moment forward is to live in total health and strength and vitality, and to enjoy my life to the fullest. And this, or something even greater, is true for me right now. I claim this, and so it is. And now place both hands on your heart and just let this sink in to your beautiful heart. Remember how powerful you are. Your thoughts create. Your intentions create. You are stronger than you may know. And now you know. And now you've claimed it. And so be it. And just take another deep breath in and out now. And very slowly and gently, just notice the sounds around you and start to bring your awareness back into the room, into your body. Take a deep breath and gently open your beautiful eyes. I'm seeing hearts and thumbs. I like it. Give us some hearts and thumbs, you guys, on Facebook. You guys here in Zoom, how are you doing and feeling? Is everybody with us still? Are you back? Could you feel it? Great, Audrey. Thanks, Audrey. Are you? Could you guys sense your body communicating with you? It's so important. Were you able to notice it? Yes, great. I'm feeling strong. Great, Cindy. Wonderful. Bev, nice to have you back. Yeah, Gail, so glad to hear that. Great. I'm glad you could feel it. Now, no, if you struggled with this in any way, it's just because you're not used to practicing communicating. We're getting so many comments on Facebook. Thank you, Rose, Daniels. I'll come back later and respond to every comment once I get off the Zoom room. So thanks for being here, everyone. I was yawning a lot. Yeah, because you're feeling from my voice the vibration of the high speed healing. This is something I saw Cynthia doing it too. It's going to help you go and drop into a deeper brainwave state, often a theta state, which is also where the restoration, the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in when you're in that relaxation response. And the yawning is a sign you are dropping into it. So is swallowing, or giving off a big sigh, or just starting to feel like woozy and like you're drifting in and out of the conscious, moment. This is all a sign that you're going deeper into that parasympathetic state, which is self-healing. So I'm glad you're hearing it. Tammy said, I was late. I've become aware lately that I don't feel safe even amongst a true friend. This is great for me. I'll listen to the recording. Yes, definitely want to listen and practice this. There's all of our safety issues are up. We're living in very volatile times. And what happened in the last week is just atrocious. And it brought up everybody's survival fears. It's bound to. Unless you're a stone or drugged, you're going to feel what's going on. And this is a good thing. We need to feel it. We need to wake up. We need to take action. So we stop this nonsense and we change the world we're in so that we do feel safe, but it's up to us. And this is why groups like this, meditations like this are paramount right now. You need a safe place where you can come and share what's coming up for you. You need to be able to feel safe to let your feelings come out. You need to have tools and practices to help you get grounded and calm so that you're not just listening to your mind, which is going to freak you out. If you're watching the news, who's not affected by this? So all of you that I see that keep coming back week after week, this is so great. And I've been getting so many thank you notes from people. More than anything I've ever done, people are really getting value from this. So I want to say thank you. And thank you for coming back week after week into Facebook and Zoom. And there are thousands of you who are enrolled in this, but are not on the live call today. You'll all get the recording tomorrow. Your energy counts, it matters. So just make sure you follow along in the recording. You'll get the same benefit from the recording. But I wanted to Cynthia's been so gracious with her time. I want to thank you so much for every word that you shared today and all your tips and all the free gifts that you want to check out. The free gifts tomorrow in the replay email that you'll receive. She's been so generous. Anti-inflammatory recipes, the link to her TED Talk, which has had 6 million views, the natural hand sanitizer. Don't keep poisoning yourself with chemicals. My God, I won't even go there. It's so appalling to me. And the skin is the largest organ in the body. You want to put safe ingredients into your skin, everybody. She's got the recipe and it's so cool. And you can find it wherever you live. You'll be able to get the ingredients. And what else? Are you giving us so many things? So check it out tomorrow. All right, final, if you had to give 2 or 3 really what you would call the top tips, what would they be?
Oh, I would say got to start with sleep. I would ensure that you're getting 7 to 8 hours of high quality sleep every night. And what does that mean? You get off electronics, cold dark room. You definitely want to wake up feeling refreshed. I would say number two, make an effort to try to spend less time snacking during the day. You know, snacking should be a sign that you are not putting the proper macronutrients together. So protein, fat, and carbohydrates with your meals. And I would say, lastly, get in some type of physical activity every day. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. And I know for many of us, including myself, our gyms are closed,
Yeah.
but our bodies are designed to move. They are not designed to be sedentary. So it could be gentle yoga, it could be a walk. Get some physical activity, and even best if you do it in the morning when the sun first comes out, because that's a really natural way to tell your body that it's time to get up and get moving, and it helps support that circadian rhythm, which is the distribution of that key hormone cortisol throughout the day. So it'd be 3 easy things that everyone can do.
I love those. I'm so glad you brought that up because we didn't really talk about that much today, but I know for me, if I don't move my body, there ain't no energy happening. I feel like a slug and I'm sitting more than usual and I'm feeling it and it does not feel good.
No,
So,
no. In fact, I've been logging, gosh, I mean, every day I've been challenging myself to walk 4 miles with my dogs and do something exercise wise in the morning.
mm,
And I found just that connection with nature and being outside has really lifted my mood. And,
mhm.
I always say my dogs are tired, just like when my kids were younger. If my kids were really tired at the end of the night, I knew I had like done it right. So that's how I feel about the dogs now.
I love it. Cynthia, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you
us
for having me.
today.
It's a real pleasure to connect with everyone. Have a great evening/afternoon, everyone.
You are the best. All right. See you guys soon. I love you. Come back for more and check your email tomorrow. Bye, everybody.